Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be working on a Cricut project using some permanent vinyl, adhesive vinyl. As you can see, here we have our tools. Our project today is going to be a clipboard. Clipboards are great gift ideas for teachers, people who work in office settings. Today we're going to be using a logo on that clipboard. So again, great for an office setting, and then something very easy to pull off the internet to make into an SVG as a great gift for somebody. The tools we have to our right, of course, we have some scissors that we're going to use. We have a squeegee here to kind of press down different things, the vinyl, transferring it. We have transfer tape. We've got a weeding tool. Some people prefer to use a curved weeding tool. I like the straight weeding tool. It's really about your preference. And then I have just a pane of glass here. It's actually from a photo frame. But I like to use this as my hard surface because this vinyl tablecloth isn't always the best to use. And then also we have our clipboard. I like to use plastic clipboards because I find that the material comes off more easily onto that clipboard. All right, now that we're done cutting, I'm going to go ahead and pull the vinyl off the mat. If you have a very sticky mat, it might stick to the back, so be careful. Slow and steady peeling a lot of times will help with that. So now the first thing I like to do is I like to look at my design. I can see where it's cut out and kind of trim around the edges so that I can save that vinyl in case I have another craft. For example, there's a necklace craft that's really easy to do. And if you have this extra vinyl here on the side, instead of throwing it away, you can use that. Again, great with the permanent adhesive vinyl. So now I've trimmed these scraps. I'm going to save those. And I'm going to find a corner to peel. And like we did when we were peeling from the mat, I'm just going to peel slow and steady. You can see I have a bunch of dots in this logo. And sometimes dots like to come up, so sometimes I just push them back down with my weeding tool. They don't always want to stay, but that's okay. When you have little elements like this, it is better to cut a bigger one. So you can see this is a bigger size that I'm using because sometimes the smaller ones don't cut as well. These little dots don't want to stay always. And so it just takes a little persistence. Now what you don't want to do is lie the vinyl back down over it because it could actually, since this is sticky on this side, pick up some of those little dots. So you have to be really careful and methodical as you do it, just paying attention. Sometimes it's easier to start out with, you know, a text or a shape, a silhouette, versus a bunch of little dots. If you're new to the crafting. Okay, so as you can see, I've weeded away the excess vinyl up here, and so now I'm just gonna go into these letters and pull out different things. Sometimes I'll use my scissors or something as a weight to help hold it down from curling. It just depends, again, on your preference. It just makes it easier for me. Like I said, I like to use this hard background so that I'm not poking through the paper. Makes it easier for me. Sometimes people will use tweezers if they can't get it with just the weeding tool they're using. It just depends, again, on your level of experience and comfort. All right, so as we can see, we have the design, what they call weeded or cleaned. So now we're going to move on to the transfer tape portion. There are lots of different transfer tapes you can purchase. I like this one because it has a grid, but not all have a grid and not all need a grid. I just don't necessarily, I have astigmatism, so it's hard for me to line things up. So the grid helps me. So what you'll do is we're going to use this transfer tape so that we can get this design onto the clipboard. So you want to make sure your transfer tape is at least the size of your design so that it'll pick everything up, and you lay it across. Then you want to take your squeegee and push the design onto the transfer tape so that it comes off nicely. So sometimes it just depends on what you're using. You can be a little more firm. When we start peeling it, we'll get a sense of whether we need to do it again. Again, it's not always just come off cleanly, but sometimes it does. So let's see. All right, so far so good. We see all the dots coming and transferring onto the transfer tape, which is ideal. That's what you want. It doesn't happen in every case, and sometimes you have to go back over it. Let's see. Okay, and now we're going down to the letters. Again, everything's coming up, which is nice because the dots didn't work so nicely with us earlier. So now we have it all on the transfer tape, and we're going to position it on our project. Now, one of the reasons I really like using a clipboard or glass or any hard surface like that is because it usually goes on pretty easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my clipboard and I'm going to center this design. I like to do mine on the inside of the clipboard like this. Yes, the papers will cover it. Some people do them on the back and some people do both, but this is just my preference where I put it. So I'm going to lay it down, the transfer tape, and make sure it's even. Then I'm going to take my squeegee. What I like about this squeegee is it's got the kind of the soft part on it, but again, you don't need that for this project. You can use the hard part. But we're just going to rub that down. And then you take the transfer tape and you're going to peel it. Now, I like to peel at an angle. But sometimes it just depends on your letters or your words, the best way to peel. If you notice your vinyl's coming up with your transfer tape, you may decide to slow down and transfer from another angle. But you can see how nice and clean that looks. Something you achieve with vinyl that you couldn't achieve with another look. All right, so now we can see that the clipboard is finished and ready to be gifted. Thank you for joining me today for this craft. Have a great day.